Hi guys, welcome back to another Q1 FY26 video. It's a Sunday, so I think I can do many more videos today, and I hope you all are in a mood to binge watch my videos. Anyways, today we will be covering some companies whose result came in the last week, okay? And most of the companies that I'll be covering today is, I'm covering both the PPT as well as the con call, whatever went down with the con call, okay? And आज fun fact, जो भी video में हम बात करेंगे, all of the companies today start with the letter A. So you tell me in the comment section, which company is good, decent, poison, and shit. Okay. So, anyways, in today's video, the first company that we will be doing is Allied Blenders and Distillers. Okay. Now, इसका अगर आप बात करते, this is a pure alcohol based company है, and they sell this gin, vodka, rum, and everything. Officer's Choice बोल के एक उनका एक one of a premium brandies are there, Officer's Choice बोल के, and many more they have. Now, यहाँ का एक खासियत बात है, you can tell is they have two kind of portfolio. One is that premium kind of portfolio, and the other one is a mass premium. मतलब आपका जो average average price का जो होता है. What we have seen is over the period of year, this premium part of the portfolio, right? It is increasing, and it is not just with Allied Blenders. अगर आप देखते हो, if you look at any other alcohol companies that are there, right? You will see that the push is more and more towards premiumization. Even if you look at over here, last year अगर आप देखते हो Q1 में, the premium part of the portfolio contributed 46% to the sales. Now if you look, the premium part contributes around 55%. So you can see, right, how much the value addition is happening, how much the product mix is changing over here for good. Okay. Now इसका हम बात करते हैं, पहला बात करते हैं in terms of इनका if you look at the capacity, they have two plants and यहाँ पे दोनों plant में ये लोग capacity addition कर रहे हैं. Now here is the thing, इसका अगर आप देखते हो sales जो है, sales is up by 23%. एंड पैट जो है, पैट इज अप बाय 4x, नॉट 4% बट 4 टाइम्स, मतलब 4 दुगना बड़ा हो चुका है. ठीक है. सो यहाँ पे आई वन थिंग आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड, आई टेल यू, इज यहाँ पे एक सेल्स जो है दैट 23%. आई होप आई डो नॉट नो इफ इट इज फुली ऑर्गेनिक, बिकॉज रिसेंटली दे डिड दिस एक्विजिशन कॉल्ड एज एक डिस्टिलरी का एक्विजिशन किया, MAILLP बोल के. ठीक है. सो दिस वाज कंप्लीटेड इन February of 25, like this year only in February, right? So I do not know how much base effect is coming from here. That is one thing. The second thing over here with respect to PAT, when we talk about this entire PAT that you see, 4 guna bada ho chuka hai, it is not completely coming from your operations. Okay. They have an other income, like एक 7 crore का other income है in this year. They also have a sale because they have done some sale of items, जिसके वजह से भी उनको थोड़ा, I think almost 40 something around that much crore also has come, right? So a lot of other incomes, exceptional items है, because of which this PAT, it looks like they've gotten incrementally like more operating leverage that is there. ठीक है. So these are the two things you'll have to consider when you look at the result. Always make sure जो PAT है आपका, it is not driven by a lot of other income, especially when you look at a small based companies like SME companies. क्या होता है ना, उनका PAT is hardly like very very छोटा, 2 करोड़ 3 करोड़ का PAT करता है, right? उसमें अगर उसने 1 करोड़ का other income दिखाया तो क्या ही फायदा. So that is the thing. ठीक है. और उनका जो the capex that is there, they have two capex that is happening. Ratnapur mein, they're putting up, increasing the capacity, which will be commissioned by Q2 of this year. And then the other one they have in the Rangapur mein ek malt distillery dal rahe, which will be completed by Q4 of this year. So 2 capacities will go live. ठीक है. So overall, I would say the number is good. Even in terms of volume growth, अगर आप देखते हो ना, the premium part of the portfolio, if you see, the volume growth grew by 46% on a year-on-year basis. That is why I told you I don't वहाँ पे कि the organic growth that is there, do not know how much that is contributing, because it's not like volume growth is flat. Volume growth, the premium part of the portfolio grew 46%. So that also has to tell you something regarding the sales growth most of it has come from probably through sale of items itself, right? And not necessarily from the base effect that is there. The other one that is there, आपका जो mass premium category जो है, that volume growth is flat, that did not grow at all. So overall a good set of numbers. But other than that, there are a couple of things also you'll have to look forward in this companies. पहला बात है उनका एक IT का that IT raid, IT tax का issue चल रहा है, where they have been I think 34 lakhs का IT का tax है, where it is they haven't paid, and on top of that the government is asking them for 24 lakhs in interest on top of that 34 lakhs. So this is like this case has been going on, I think now for forever probably. So this is one ongoing issue that is there with the company. The second second ongoing issue that is there is Q4 में क्या हुआ था, इनका receivables almost double. I think इनका receivables जो है went from 240 to 440 crore. Now ये क्यों हुआ? These people entered Telangana state, right, that Andhra Pradesh का state, and as you know in Andhra Pradesh you cannot distribute alcohol like freely. एक उनका board होता है which through which you do the distribution, right? And this Telangana government that is there, they did not pay them, they deferred the payment. ठीक है, मतलब जो payment करना था उसको delay करता रहा, and we do not know when this payment will come back also. So again, this is something you'll have to look in H1 का या H1 या Q2 का जब हमें balance sheet मिलता है, you will have to look at that time how this receivable का situation has improved or not. This is a huge like a huge, I would say, negative thing over here, because I mean receivables has literally increased, like I told you, right, almost double हो चुका है. That I mean, and especially when it is coming from a government, that is like a big question mark, because I mean there is nothing you can do over here other than keep begging them, and hoping that they give the money back, right? That is the only thing you can do. So that these two situations that are there, the receivables part and the income tax, I know growth rate and all is there, but these two are, if you are going to invest, I would say make sure you look into these two factors that are there. Because see, income tax at least is subjective. Some people might find it like they might find value in it, and the other people might not, matlab, they might find it like, oh, it's a huge threat. So I think it's a subjective, but receivables situation is not subjective over here. That is something that needs a lot of attention, right? So other than that, the second company that we will be doing is called as Amber Enterprise. Now before we talk about Amber Enterprise, I think all of you know we are starting with a live workshop on the 24th of August. You might know that we did a workshop on the portfolio analysis in Q4, so it is a continuation of that, right? So if you're a new person who doesn't know how to build your portfolio, how to exactly cut, how to exactly look forward to allocation and do those things, join this workshop, and it will be a brilliant thing. And for those people who also took the workshop in FY25, you will get to know how every quarter the portfolio changes, and how the entire change of portfolio, whether it is changing the names, changing the allocation, it doesn't depend on us. How the company's performance determines a change in allocation, you'll get to know about it in the upcoming workshop. So make sure you register for it. The link is in the description. Okay, the second company that we will be doing is Amber Enterprise. Now this is, as you know, this is one of the companies in that AC ka race that we used to do last year. There were four companies, as you know: EPAC tha, Amber tha, PGL, and Virtuous Optoelectronics. Now if you remember this entire AC ka game that is there, right? Last year we had a really good year, because summers were great and everything. But this year we see, right, the summers are not as harsh, because last year hamara El Nino ka effect tha, because of which summers were harsh. This time we don't have that. In fact, we have opposite of last year. We this year we have an early onset of monsoon. In fact, agar aap dekhte ho na, like apparently the summer that we had this year, it is the coolest summer in the last 6 decades. So 60 year mein this summer is the most coolest. And AC का क्या होता है, Q1 and Q4 are the best month. 60 to 65% of the sales happens in the month of Q1 and Q4. Q1 and Q4 में क्या months आते हैं? April, May, March, April, May, right? Which are the three most hot months, like hot cakes आप बोल सकते हो AC का sale के लिए. So again, if you look at it, AC का numbers that are there for a lot of companies. EPAC अगर आप देखते हो, RAC का sale grew by 17%. Hitachi, I think it grew by around 15% or so. So Amber का अगर आप देखते हो, with respect to the other players in the space, if you see, Amber का growth rate is relatively much better, I would say. ठीक है, मतलब यहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो, I'll just give you the numbers at first. Sales is up by 44%. PAT is also up by a similar rate, 42%. It did miss out on an operating leverage यहाँ पे. ठीक है, अगर आप देखते हो, they have three components like Amber का, right? One is the RAC division that they have, या components division, जिसमें washing machine भी बनाता है. The second is the electronics division, जहाँ पे वो PCBA, PCB, वो assembly बनाता है. The third is a railway division, where they work with the Indian Railways Department in working with them. Now इस तीनों division में the first division is the most important, because ये RAC का division, this component part of the division, that contributes 75% to your top line. 70 to 75% ये contribution करता है. ठीक है, now यहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो, this RAC का division that is there, that grew by 33%. Now if you look at it over the other quarters that is there in Q1, Q2, Q3, it used to go roughly between 60% in the best months and 40% in the lowest months. It used to grow in that pace. But the fact is, इस बार पे उन्होंने 33% grow किया, which is relatively, वही मैं बोलने का कोशिश कर रही हूँ, relatively not as bad as compared to the other players that are there in the space. That is one thing. ठीक है. The other thing is, यहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो RAC का उन्होंने यही बोला है कि like yes, this summer is not that great. Obviously don't expect that 60-70% जो हमने last time किया था. But also at the same time, they were not really bullish or buoyant in the con call regarding the this RAC. उन्होंने इतना ही बोला कि like if the industry is growing, जो भी industry का growth rate है उससे हम 10-15% ज्यादा grow कर सकते हैं. अभी AC का industry क्या है, 15-20% है. Last time AC का industry was growing at 40%. So this time the AC का industry is growing at 15-20%. So उसमें आप 10% add कर लो, 30%, that is what it is growing. उन्होंने ये भी बोला है कि like जो AC का जो the environment that is there, it is a kind of industry जहाँ पे usually inventories are always high, right? Because the manufacturing process takes place, it's a long process to take, the manufacturing distribution पे चलता है. So usually if you see distribution या कोई भी channel partner में अगर आप देखते हो, whatever you see, inventories is usually 1 to 1.5 million का pieces रहता है, ठीक है, AC का pieces. But this time the summer is so, like summer is not at all there, इतना rain हो चुका है, and all this stockists, the distributors, different channel partners that are there, these people are stocked up on the AC thinking that AC का demand that is there, it will be similar to last year. But वो नहीं हुआ. तो यहाँ पे channel का inventory build up हो चुका है. Usually channel का inventory, like I told you, 1 to 1.5 million pieces, that is usually there in this April and May, this Q1. This time the channel built up, the inventory has gone to 3 to 3.5 million. Think about it. 1 to 1.5 million से 3 to 3.5 million, मतलब भाई कितना increase हुआ है. Think about it. अभी क्या होगा, channel inventory build होगा, demand कम है, supply ज़्यादा है, price का erosion होगा, आपको discount देना पड़ेगा. So last time जो भी AC खरीदा वो तो that time supply was not there but demand was there. They paid a lot. अभी supply नहीं है, demand नहीं है, supply है. They now price का erosion हो रहा है. तो वही बोल रहे. So that is what I'm telling. Although they did well, although the RAC segment did well, it is not really up for like it's not as buoyant as it was in the last year, right? So that is there. Along with that, ये लोग एक एक strategic agreement कर रहे हैं with another company called as GMCC, which is the largest compressor का manufacturing करता है. So all in all, in that RAC division, all the other updates that are great, but yes, the growth rate that is there, it is not there as it was in the last quarter या last year आप बोल सकते हो. And it's the growth rate is drastically coming down. उन्होंने ये भी बोला कि like see आगे जाके when if we see that the monsoons continues, festival period में उतना buying power नहीं होता है, and if the RAC का division that division or that industry is growing at like 5% या probably negative भी grow करते हैं, let's say, then उससे आप 10% ले लो, we will grow. That is the only confidence we can give to the shareholders. The other thing is the electronic division. Again, electronic division has grown by 97%. उसका अगर आप operating EBITDA देखते हो, it is at 6.7. Next year, that is in FY27, बोल रहा है कि like ये जो operating EBITDA है, it will be in double digit. I believe उनका right now focus is going mostly to this electronic division. From this, slowly they're reducing their dependency on this RAC का product, ठीक है. And here also already they have a JV with Korea Circuit and Ascent Circuits. A huge capex is also coming up. Along with that, another two they have done another two agreements they've signed. One with Power One Microsystems, which is a Bangalore-based company, and the other one is Unitronics Israel, which is based out of Israel. Now, यहाँ पे they have done this, especially with Unitronics, they have done this agreement. So they can get the penetration into this US and Europe region. So overall, that is also going well. But a very interesting factor is the railway division, जिससे वो 5% का revenue करता है. Now, in the railway division, the revenues grew by 29%. Okay, why am I telling this is because if you remember the last year, throughout the year in the last year, the railway division was degrowing, EBITDA was falling, right? Order book was getting delayed. For the first time in a very long time, I would say, as at least in this year, it has been a very good start. Railway division has also grown. So overall, उनका जो तीनों division है, right? Whether it is the RAC division, आपका जो electronics division, आपका जो क्या बोलते हैं railway का division, everything में growth है, at least a decent growth you can tell. And overall, they have maintained the overall pace of growth at 44%. But yes, RAC का division, do not expect that kind of growth rate that is there. Okay, but although the growth rate is good, I would classify this company as decent only and only because the margins are missing, because ये लोग इतना capex कर रहे हैं, इतना acquisition कर रहे हैं, या वरना कुछ ना कुछ JV में जा रहा है ना, as a result of which operating leverage मिलना यहाँ पे मुश्किल होता है. And जितना बड़ा company उतना आपको EPS growth होना चाहिए. The more EPS growth you have, valuation इतना कम होता रहेगा, राइट, बिकॉज at the end of the day EPS falls in the denominator. So यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, because the EPS is not growing at a faster rate, the it continuously keeps falling in that high growth high PE का engine. So यहाँ पे क्या होते हैं, एक क्वार्टर में भी 19-20 का ग्रोथ रेट का फर्क होता है ना, then it is a free fall for the shareholders. Think about it like that. So that is the thing. Good company, I mean very brilliant execution, great management, but the fact is यहाँ पे that only like high growth high PE का category, and the other thing is margins, right, because operating leverage over here is a miss at the end of the day because of all the acquisitions and the capex that they're doing. Okay, then the third company that we'll be doing, it's actually a new company, I'm starting it for the first time. It's called Asahi Songwon Colors Limited. Okay, ये जो बनाते हैं ना, it's a I'm glad I took up this project because I get to learn so much over here. Now, so what do these people do? They make these pigments. Now, as you know, for paints, या आपका फूड का not food coloring, but basically अगर आपको रंग देना पड़ता है, रेड कलर को रेड बनाना पड़ता है, ब्लू कलर को ब्लू बनाना पड़ता है, वो रेड पिगमेंट जो होता है, वो ब्लू पिगमेंट जो होता है, जो पेंट्स में डालते हैं ना, ये लोग वो they make this pigments, that gives that color. उसका majority of the revenue comes from making this blue pigment which is called as phthalocyanin, उसको वो बोलते हैं. Recently they've also started making that red pigment and that yellow pigment. Okay, इनका ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा आता है export market से. 65% of the revenue comes from export market and the rest comes from the domestic market. Okay, so इसका last year का revenue was really good, everything was great, ठीक है. But they mentioned in the con call कि like because of this tariff का situation that is there, right, and along with the tariff का situation, यहाँ पे price का भी erosion हो रहा था India products, इतना global uncertainty है and price का volatility इतना है that they didn't know कि like the management had refrained from giving the guidance in the Q4 का con call. ठीक है, उन्होंने बार बार बोला कि like भाई price का we can't tell, volume growth हो सकता है but price का we can't, it might erode so much that we can't really comment on that. We don't want to give guidance, we don't want to give margin का guidance or anything. And ऐसा ही हो चुका है. If you look at the sales is up by 11% but PAT is down by a whooping 40%, right? And look at the you all ask me, right, कि like how do you decipher the con call? Look at this, look at the con, यहाँ पे एक press release है. Look at the press release का the statement that is given by the management. After a strong run in the previous quarter and a solid start to Q1, we saw a sharp decline in demand. बोल रहे क्या, sharp decline मतलब क्या, सारा demand आपका चला गया यहाँ पे. That is one. Okay, sharp decline in the demand in the later half of the quarter, impacting both sales, realizations and profitability, right? From this statement, can you understand from the statement कि like the environment that is there is not really upbeat, or because of the environment is not upbeat, you can see that all the other parameters that are there are falling यहाँ पे. ठीक है, so वही, right, like the operating environment for pigment remains very challenging, right, and we anticipate the business momentum will remain muted in the second quarter as well, which means what, आगे जाके भी प्रॉब्लम होगा, आगे जाके भी शायद इसे और खराब कर सकता है या ऐसा ही रहेगा, सिचुएशन इज नॉट इम्प्रूविंग. सो अंडरस्टैंड कि लाइक जब आप कॉन कॉल पढ़ते हो या आप प्रेस रिलीज का you read, you have to catch on these little words that are there, right? And this is exactly we have taught you in the investment checklist workshop, right? like कैसे ये words को पकड़ना है, and you have to learn to play with these words, because management आपको sometimes they will not tell you directly कि like हाँ last time we gave you guidance of 40%, इस टाइम हम बोल रहे guidance 5% का देंगे. No, but they will play with all these kind of words that is there, and you will have to pick it up with pick it up from these words. So यही देखो, like the fact बोल रहे muted है demand, challenging है demand, what can they do, right? I mean when so this is also the reason I tell you to continue to track, because think about it, last year for them was great, 40% का growth, 40% का volume growth, value growth भी हो रहा था. And think about it, अभी just I think 2 quarters after that they're telling challenging demand, muted demand and all of it. Now you understand why tracking is important, because when you track, what happens, आपको you would have played this when you would have written the stock, right? You would write the stock when things are good, and now अभी जब situation पूरा हो चुका है, you have to cut the position over here, and you do not get to decide. Like I always tell, allocation हो, किस stock को बढ़ाना है, किस stock आपका 10x होगा, किस stock आपका आपको loss में निकालना पड़ेगा. You do not decide the allocation. You do not decide कि like I will continue to hold the stock for 10 years. You do not decide the allocation. You do not decide the holding period at all. Now क्या हो रहा है जब like I told you, you would have thought कि like last year I will hold you for 10-15 years. 10-15 years आप ये इसको पकड़ते, in the next 2 years आपका पूरा capital शायद इसमें गायब हो जाता. So this is why continue to track the company. Always continue to track the company. There is no there is no other way. The other is Asian Paints. As you know, sales is flat. Poison. I won't talk more about it. Absolute poison stock. Great compounding once upon a time. Again, poison right now. Track. This is why. The last company that we will do is Ask Automotives. Ask Automotives क्या करते हैं अपना two wheeler vehicles में, in all of these vehicles that are there, they cater to many vehicles, but ज़्यादा आते हैं two wheeler से. यहाँ पे क्या करता है ये लोग, ये they make this aluminium lighting solution, braking systems जो करता है. Now the majority of the revenue comes from this advanced braking system and aluminium lighting solutions. Okay, so here they had guided for a 15% in terms of sales, but right now if you see the start of the year has been a little bit muted. You can tell sales hardly grew by 4%. PAT that is grown by 15%. Although the management is still keeping up the guidance of doing 15% because उनका ये कहना है कि like आगे जाके we have October and November which is a festival period जहाँ पे people do buy a lot of vehicles as it is an auspicious time. So maybe because of that the order will come and everything, it will be great. But one thing I will tell over here, right, this entire क्या बोलते हैं, the entire tone in the call, right, it is not as great because in the last con call also, if you see in Q4 of the con call, they were very upbeat about everything. अभी बोल रहे global uncertainty है, volatility है in the market, two wheeler vehicle segment is not growing that much, four wheelers में ये problem है. They continue to speak about the problems over here. So this is one thing I would say be cautious about. I wouldn't consider it as poison because I think it is still early to comment on this. I would say it is okayish, neither decent nor poison, बीच में है ये. But again, it's something to be cautious about. Even if they do that 15% in terms of revenue, right, whatever the guidance they have given, it is still mediocre at the end of the day. 15% लेके आप क्या ही कर लोगे इस market में. So that is the thing. Overall, I would say in this video that is there, Allied Blenders and Distillers in this list specifically was good, but there are a lot of problems which can be very detrimental to shareholders, in the journey of shareholders, journey to create wealth. These there are and there is no light in terms of what has happened with the two incidents with Allied Blenders. Then obviously Amber is good, but again the valuations are a bit concerning. The fact that EPS is not growing, EPS is not really growing at a very faster rate compared to sales, that is also a little bit of concern. Then we have Asian Paints, which is a poison. We have that Asahi Song, that is also another poison stock. I would tell both of them are poison. Ask Automotive, somewhere between decent and poison, I would put it down. Okay, so that's it about today's video. I hope you all had a great time and I hope you all binge watched all the way until this end. And yeah, make sure you like, share, subscribe and hype the video up. I always tend to forget it. I have to keep reminding myself to tell this in my YouTube videos. But anyways, and also make sure you get the workshop, make sure you register for the workshop because we are already I think down 200 seats. There are only 1000 seats left, and yes, make sure you do that. Anyways, that's it guys. Have a really nice day and I hope you'll have a really great Sunday. Make sure you spend time with your families, have a chill weekend and have fun. Take care. Bye.